What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. It has never been broadcast.
Like, we shall read the sign in your burned effigy, the bound body. That's exactly what the Druids actually did. They would roast cats, goats, oxen, horses, and watch the pain of how they died.
To recognize, but new technology makes us question what is real.
This is just a little introduction about me. It was 2008 and I was 12 years old, scouring through the wild west of YouTube. Cartel beheadings were prevalent on YouTube at the time. Supposed real demon videos, even more so. What started off as a hobby became an addiction, an obsession. Diving deeper and deeper into the depths of YouTube, I became fascinated. The main one that drove me into this spiral was the infamous 9/11. I'm sure most of you have heard of the conspiracies, and maybe most of you have even looked into it. Maybe even more so, most of you believe the conspiracy behind it all. I know I do. Here's a little bit about my stories and encounters with the paranormal. At the age of 3, I had a sleep paralysis episode, but I did not see anything paranormal, except for the fact of not being able to scream or move. I was truly frightened, like I had never been before. I come from a rich culture of Purepecha people, indigenous and traditional. We have our own dialect called Purepecha. We are based in Michoacan now, due to having to settle elsewhere after the Spanish takeover. But even after all this, we kept our traditions true and close to heart. I am American born and raised, but would visit the island often when I was younger. Due to the traditions, we were almost always obligated to go from December to January to embrace the Baile de los Dos Veles and Baile de los Viejitos. Canoes were the only way around the island. No cars, no roads. Just canoes and walking. At the time, fresh water came once a week through a small pipe. We would run and grab barrels to fill. The stove was a stack of bricks with the grate on top, and the source for fire was wood. No hot water, no flushable toilets, just outhouses 200 feet away or further. You can imagine, I never went to the bathroom at night. There are many stories on our island of the paranormal. Classics like La Llorona, that tried to coax one of my cousins on a calm, dark night, causing him to sleepwalk and almost open the door and walk to the lake to drown, before my aunt managed to get him. Another story from my father and my uncles as teenagers, walking drunk by the water's edge and seeing a bright light across the lake, in the sky, over the trees. An orb. And dark shadow people appearing in the fields across the water. I have my own personal story. At the age of 8, when we went to visit one time, I remember riding the canoe from the mainland to the island. Me and my sisters and my aunt with the man rowing the canoe, when suddenly I started to hear a growl. We were in the middle of the lake. The growl emanating from the water I looked over the canoe's edge to see what was making the noise, but my aunt pulled me back. I asked her if she could hear it too, the growling. She just said to ignore it. I kept watching and hunting for the truth, searching for answers that no one had an answer for. Finally, life hit. I became an adult, 18 years old now. I left home and had to deal with life. Due to this, I had to give up on my hobby, my obsession, and grow up, as they say. But is this truly growing up? Or a way to knock us off the path of truth, knowledge, and discovery? I fell into the matrix for some time, lost the vision I once had for the truth. At the age of 23, I had an experience with a substance that brought me back into the world of the paranormal. I saw entities and had an interaction with a few different ones. I saw code as I was entering this alternate realm, but I was extremely anxious and partly frightened, afraid I would not come back into my body. I'm sure most of you know which substance I am referring to. I had always been afraid of death since the age of 5, asking my grandmother about death and if we just sleep forever. And I started to cry because of the existential fear that was brought over me at such a young age. My grandma also began to cry, telling me I'm too young to be thinking of these things. But after the experience with the substance, I constantly kept thinking of life after death until I finally came up with the mantra that resonated with me so profoundly. I now embrace life after death. This is how my belief on the afterlife goes. My mantra: if we can't remember where we came from, as in birth, then we came from nothing. So when our body dies, we also go to nothing. But this nothing can give way to something, just like when we were born from nothing. Our body dies here, but we go to nothing, which has to be a something, just like before and after birth and death. Fast forward to present day. I am 28 years old now, studying and learning as much as I can on a variety of topics due to constantly listening to podcasts of people with the needed degree in their profession to prove their speculations and ideas. Some are still stuck in their indoctrinated belief due to the academic study and brainwashing that was done to them, with no critical thinking applied, but a lot are of a new sort of reformed mindset and speaking out against the academic brainwashing, based on their experience with the millions of dollars funding the academic and archaeological standards that are meant to keep us away from the truth. They break free from the system a lot at an older age, noticing things that don't corroborate with the education they were taught in schools. A lot of times causing a complete reevaluation of their previous beliefs and begin a real journey of discovery. I don't just watch these podcasts and believe everything they present. I critically think about it and research what they say and claim, every article, every regard to knowledge of discovery. I stop the episode, research the topics and articles they present, verify it, then go back to the podcast and pick up where I left off. Over and over, I do this throughout the whole podcast. It does not matter if it's a 1-hour podcast or a 6-hour podcast. I do this method to discover real truth. I especially try to corroborate evidence on connections between science and spirituality, which has been lost to the modern age due to scientism. But although science has made us forget the past beliefs, which a lot of times have been talked about and known for thousands of years prior, but now being discovered or rediscovered, as I like to put it, it has brought me and others to know that spirituality is science. And due to the modern age of thinking, the only way to prove to most people that spirituality is real is through science. And I do not think anything is wrong with that. I believe that it is actually a really strong reinforcement to reintroduce spirituality to the world again and prove its presence to everyone again and awaken their minds to the real reality. Some of my favorite topics to listen to in podcasts are ones where the person with credentials and degrees are being interviewed regarding physics, geology, seismology, meteorology, classified files released through FOIA, anthropology, etymology, linguistics, eugenics, theology, philosophy, toxicology, physicians, psychiatrists, engineers, plasma radiation, and quantum scientists, AI creators and innovators, oceanographers, solar physics, historians, creationists, inventors, folklorists, alternative historians, and of course, conspiracy theorists based on credible evidence and reinforced by their degree in the specific field they are inquiring about, not standard to their profession. This is my passion and have a layman's approach, but I am extremely reasonable, always doubting everything that is being said. Researching new studies I see and hear about. Being devil's advocate, looking at things from multiple perspectives and creating my own theories based on all this information. Due to all of this, I have gained a great ability for pattern recognition. I have had many synchronous events constantly happening now when I research. Here is a small example of what usually happens and how I go about my research processes when synchronicities happen and take action. I had recently gotten into pterosaur sightings in 2025 and thunderbirds from old Native American stories. And a new Bob Gimlin video pops up of a supposed baby Bigfoot in upstate New York, recorded in the trees. He suggests a couple different species that this creature could be featured in the trees based on the wildlife in the area that would be similar to the movements and stature of the animal, such as snakes and owls. But at the end he suggests teratorns that went extinct as little as 10,000 years ago, which I had never heard of, and instantly a switch flipped in my brain, and I began to think of the Native American stories of thunderbirds and pterosaur sightings that have been reported recently in 2025, and have been ongoing since 2015 in places like Georgia, Texas, and California. I paused the video there, opened up a new tab, and decided to look up teratorns. And the first one that popped up was one discovered called Teratornis woodburnensis in Woodburn, Oregon, in a park named Legion Park, discovered in 1999, about 15 to 18 minutes from me. How could a video based on upstate New York across the opposite side of the US from me find a correlation and help me expand my research on thunderbirds and pterosaurs? A synchronicity. I have learned to give into these right away when they appear, as they always correlate to some sort of research I am doing or stop doing due to dead ends and reigniting or giving me a new source or path to follow.